with a Business is brought to you by Audible.com.
Hi, everybody, and welcome to this week's episode of Married with a Business. I'm Craig.
And I'm Allison.
And we're Married with a Business. We're here to share tips and tricks and stories about being a married couple that own and operate a business together.
But Craig, what's been going on at home?
You know what's fun lately, actually, Allison, is I have really made a connection with our oldest son with baseball cards.
Oh, that's fun.
And when I was a kid, I was a kid of the 80s, and it was the overproduction year of baseball cards. So I have like a million baseball cards that are from the 80s that are worth nothing. But it's been really interesting because my son, I think my oldest son, is always striving to find something to connect with me on. Mm-hmm. And so I think all of a sudden he's really gotten into baseball cards, and I've sort of rekindled my, interest in baseball cards. And so it's been kind of fun. We've been pulling down from the attic my old baseball cards. We went and bought some new ones because you can still buy baseball cards. Did you know that? I didn't know that. You can still buy baseball cards. So we went to Walmart and bought a box of baseball cards and ripped open packs. So it's been kind of fun.
Yeah, and you've also connected with my uncle, and you guys, our oldest son have done that with my uncle, with things that he collected in the 70s and 80s with my cousin.
Yeah, so it's been fun. And he gave us some old baseball cards to bring home and look through. So it's a good time. So, Allison, this week, speaking of rekindling things,
yes,
we have some pretty awesome guests on our show this week.
Yeah, we were so excited to have them reach out to us about being on the show. We spoke with Paul and Susan Kadilak from Kadilak Homes, but they're also from the TV show Renovation Rekindled.
Yeah, they're awesome. They are very similar to us, run a company very similar to our company, so we had a lot in common. And but they have really done an awesome job of putting together marketing for them and as a husband and wife couple, and for their company, Kadilak Homes. So take a minute and listen to Susan and Paul from Kadilak Homes. Everybody, we're joined this week, Susan and Paul Kadilak from Kadilak Homes in the Renovation Rekindled TV show. Guys, thank you so much for being on the show this week.
Thanks for having us.
Yes, thank you for having us on, Craigie.
So tell us a little bit about how you guys met and came to be a couple.
So we met through a mutual friend, actually. So she told Paul.
I'll tell the beginning of this if you want.
Paul, tell the story. Paul's better at it than me.
So I was, going through getting a divorce and so forth, and I had a mutual, we both had a mutual friend. Susan was going through a similar situation. I had a daughter. She had a daughter. So our friend's like, you got to meet this girl. She's like you. She's getting divorced. Like you, blah, blah. And I was like, I'm good. I got enough of my own problems right now. It's like, I'm good. So, long story short, we ended up going to a Christmas party. I was like, you going to be there? She's like, yeah. I'm like, maybe I'll see you guys there.
Our friend totally planned the whole thing, I think, because she was trying to get us to meet, and there was no agreement there. So I think she just brought me to a place that she knew he was going to be at.
Yeah. So we, I was there. They watched, our friend Lisa walked in with Susan, and I was like, she's very pretty. I'm going to go talk to her right now.
So and this was 15 years ago. So the first thing he did was show me his MySpace account.
Because I was very early to the platforms of social media, and Tom was my friend,
So we're at a Christmas party. I don't even know who's
it was our cousins,
in the other room, and he's like, "Let me show you my MySpace account," and I'm like, "Cool."
I mean, clearly it worked.
I think
that's the best pickup line I've heard in a while.
Have you met my friend Tom?
Right.
So now you guys get together. How did it become that you guys ended up working together and having a business together?
Well, so I'll parlay into this. So after we had met that night, I talked to her about taking her out. So she agreed, and I went to go pick her up, and there was a dump truck in her driveway, and I was like, So I said, whose dump truck is that? She's like, mine. And I was like, this is interesting. I was like, I need to explore this more and see what this is about. So, come to find out, she told me kind of her background with, the construction and the real estate. And, it's been in her family for a long time.
Yeah, my dad was a builder. My grandfather was a builder. So I kind of grew up around construction. So I got into real estate when I was 20. And then a couple of years later, I was always in the renovation side and everything with my family. And then I just wanted to build a house. So I built my first house. I think I was 23, and I don't know what I was thinking, but
I was still learning how to spell my name at 23. So
I look back now and I laugh and I'm like, oh my God, what was I thinking? But so I was already in the business and building and doing client projects. And, that's kind of what my family had done. And that's kind of how I got into it.
So you dragged Paul along, just like all good women do.
Well, he was working in sales at the time when I met him, and he had been trying to get on the fire department. And they have to take tests every year and be on a waiting list. And it took, how long did it take before they finally?
It took me 12 years.
Yeah.
Wow.
So you take a test, you get on the list, and then they either add you on or they don't. And if they don't, you have to go back, take the test again, and kind of keep going.
Yeah.
So he was doing that for 12 years. And he finally got on. And with the schedule, he had a lot of days off. I think it's, 2 24-hour shifts and then, 4 or 5 days off. And he thought he was going to go golfing. He was like, I'm going to have all this free time.
I don't even golf. I was like, I'll learn to golf,
He actually even bought golf clubs that I don't think he ever used. I was like, oh, you're not going golfing.
No, my kids said, what are those, Dad? Don't worry about it.
Yeah.
They're just ornaments.
The golf dreams that died.
Mm-hmm.
But anyway, so then he kind of came in and started coming into the construction business with me.
Yeah, after I finished and got a fire academy and I'm working, have my time off, I really kind of got my feet wet with the construction, really learning, the business, because I wasn't in it, she was. So, her bringing me into it. I was always handy, but, construction's there's a lot to know about construction, a lot. So, the stuff we were doing back then was not glorious by any means.
No, you can imagine it was the recession, the housing recession, the economy wasn't good. We were doing structural work, building, old houses in Boston that needed, footings and repointed foundations. And it was a glorious introduction to construction, I would say. That's
looking now, it was very humbling because you're like, man, this is hard work. A lot of that stuff is really hard work that some people don't understand what those guys have to do. So I'm glad that I did it. I wouldn't change it. It's, you got to kind of, realize what they're going through too, to make things happen for you and appreciate what they do. So, that's a big deal. I think that we talk about a lot,
Yeah, but it was a lot of that, nothing pretty, nothing that could go on the Instagram page.
Yeah, it would have been like Insta Slam, like you don't even want to see this thing next, not Instagram. No.
And then so, over the past few years, you guys have really started to, like you said, use Instagram, use social media, and start to sort of form what you guys have become. And now you have a television show and you guys do all of this social media posts. What's it like as a couple having to, I won't say perform, but to have that all documented all the time?
Yeah, I think documented is a great word, because when we started doing videos, that was one of the things that, that we had talked about. Our videographer said, do you guys want to talk about what you want to film before we do it? And I said, no, let's just go out and film, and whatever happens. And Paul we call him the CFO. He's the chief fun officer. So he's always just doing, oddball things, and we catch it on camera and show it to everyone.
I think people think because it's a renovation, and I think it's because they think about the amount of money that they're spending, and it has to be like at this certain level of professionalism, which I feel like we still uphold. But it's like, it's okay to have fun too. If you were buying something at the dollar store and you threw it away, like, whatever. But if you had $100,000 and you felt like you threw it away, you're like, so I feel like it's just really bringing them down to like, hey, this is like supposed to be a fun and exciting time for you. Like, yes, it's stressful because you're just spending money and you don't know what the end result's going to look like other than maybe some drawings or pictures. But at the end of the day, we know what it'll look like. And, our goal is to make sure it comes to that and it looks how they feel like they want it,
Yeah. So Paul, he's, I actually had a mentor who I was on the phone with. I was doing a video call with her, and Paul kind of, crashed our call, and she,
shocking.
And he's always doing funny things. And she was like, you guys need to do video. And I was like, what kind of video are we going to do? She's like, just put him on video. She's like, just, whatever. So that's kind of how we started doing that. And it just, it just kind of went from there. And we've always pretty much worked well together because we're pretty opposite, I think.
She's very good at letting me think that my opinion matters. Whether it does or not, I don't know. But she's a sensei in that, She's like, yeah, how do you feel about that, honey? Yeah,
Well, and that kind of ties into what I was going to ask. Which one do you guys, how do you split your roles? Is one of you more the visionary and one of you more the implementer? What are your roles in the company?
I'm Tony Danza, if that makes any sense. She's the boss, you know.
So you're Mona?
Mona? No, wait. Was Mona the boss?
Mona was the boss.
Mona wasn't the boss.
Mona was the mom.
Mona was the mom. Angela was the boss. Tony.
I know, but I really think Mona was in the background, really pulling all those strings.
You know, you're not wrong.
You know, maybe there was some hidden.
I think you're right.
Maybe there was some underlying things there. Who knows?
Now that I think about it.
You know,
I think we're all showing our age right now. Is what I think.
Yeah.
Oh, I mean, I have no idea what you're talking about.
Yeah, I was too busy watching Kirk Cameron, so it's all, you know, growing pains.
Growing pains is much better, yes. But when it comes to making, you know, business decisions, you know, together, and that's something we talk a lot about with couples. Like, you know, do you guys find yourself trying to sell the other person on the idea, or how does that generally work when you guys have to work together to make a decision?
I don't think we really do. I mean, I trust in her, so she comes to me with something. I might question it in terms of like, what are you talking about? What are we going to do like that? But it's not a question of like, I don't think we should do it. You know, I think that I know if I bring something to her and she's hesitant, she's like, no, then it's probably not a good idea. You know, so, you know, I think it's kind of a mutual understanding that, you know, if one of us was really adamant about a certain decision, then we would just nix it all together. We kind of have a one veto rule in that sense. So, you know, so it's like, even when we go meet clients and stuff, like not every client is ours and we're not every client's contractor, right? You gotta be together for a while. You got to get along, and we understand we're not everybody's cup of tea. So I think that's just the best way to do it. If we don't feel comfortable with the client, you know, and it's nothing, no offense to them, it's just like, you know, we want to make sure everybody's happy and feels good at the end of the day. So I think that that's the same one veto rule we carry throughout is, you know, if one of us didn't have a great feeling about it, you know, I feel like the other one picks up on it.
If someone pulls a veto, it's a no.
I like that.
That's great.
Vetoes are Italian.
You should listen to my veto more often.
I listen to your veto all the time.
What's the executive order,
Craig? But yeah, and like we were saying, like we talk about, you know, the how and the wow person, and I'm definitely the wow person. Like I want to spend I want every new gadget and every new toy.
I have no idea what you're talking about.
Yeah, and when I go to Allison, it's I've got to have, okay, well, this is why we need the new toy, and this is what it's, you know, so it's funny. It's because it's good to have that balance.
I need the budget, the timeline, what we're gonna get out of it,
right?
All that kind of stuff. It took me 3 years to buy a bed. I mean.
Yeah. I mean, I think for some of that, if I had to look at I would definitely veto all of his purchases for sure. So we just kind of have a rule where it's like, you know, up to a certain amount, like I don't want to know about it really. You don't have to tell me about it. I don't want to know how much it costs, because I'll say, because if it was up to me, I'd be like, no. So it's like letting him do, you know, his thing. He calls me the fun assassin sometimes. So I try not to be the fun assassin unless I need to be.
You got to watch out. Sometimes they're around the corner. You're like, whoa, I'm back off. Stay over there.
So I try to let him have his fun.
How are you guys managing your roles with everything you have to manage at work and everything you have to manage at home? How do you guys divide and conquer, or do you? How do you make that balance work?
Yes.
I think that it's never been like, you do this, I do this.
Right.
You know, it's always, I mean, Susan leads the charge. That's, you know, no doubt. But I always think that it's like, you know, for example, at home, maybe there's sometimes that I'm doing laundry more and then it switches. She's doing it more, or I'm cooking. She's, you know, it's never been like, well, you cook, so now I have to cook. It's just more of like, hey, it's got to get done. So whoever can do it gets to it. And, you know, and that's, you know, it's helping each other out at the end of the day. It's not so much dividing it and being like, hey, you got to do this and you got to do this. Mm-hmm. It's more what needs to be done. It's more of the question we ask.
It's more just, these are the things that need to be done. And, you know, just kind of prioritizing like, okay, this is what I have today. This is what you have today. This is, you know, this is how we can get this all done. But it's never one person kind of, you know, this is your thing. This is my thing, except the trash. On our first date, I told him he has to do all the trash, and I have held him to that. But besides that, we, you know, it's kind of whoever's available will do whatever needs to be done.
Hey, I love that. Set it. You gotta set those clear expectations. Yeah. I like that.
I did that on day one. I just would like to tell everyone that's a good deal to make.
It was worth it, you know.
It's a little price to pay, right?
Yeah.
So you guys have children. What are you hoping that your kids are learning from, all of the stuff that you guys do, the business, you guys running a business together, and we talk about it with other couples, like running a business isn't like a 9-to-5 job, right? You guys don't
Right.
want that. You guys are, there's always emails, there's always things. What do you hope that your children are learning by seeing everything that you guys are doing?
I mean, I grew up in a family where everyone had, my parents, my grandparents, everyone in my family pretty much had their own business. So this is how I grew up, where, I didn't have, most of my family didn't have that traditional 9-to-5 job, I feel like. So I grew up watching that. And, as far as the kids, like we're showing them, like we bring them, to job sites and stuff with us. We tell them what we're doing. Sometimes I'll be working on a project and they'll ask what I'm doing and I'll tell them, and they've taken some interest. And I think it's just, showing them, just a different way. It's funny, our 11-year-old is super interested in business. He's always asking questions. But I think when he was 6, he wanted me to get him a vending machine so that he could sell snacks to his friends. He said that we can invite them all over. They can put quarters in the machine. I can collect the quarters. And I'm like, okay.
It's like your first hustle story, right? Like, what's the first time you really hustled as a kid to try to make money? So it's like, that's his stories of that. I used to sell lollipops in school for a quarter. I used to make my father go buy a big box of them, and I'd sell them because I was like, I need to make money. This is in 5th grade, 6th grade, whatever. So
but just showing them, that we're, what we're working, what we show them, what we're building, the projects that we're working on. So we definitely involve them in what we're doing.
We involve them, but we don't push it on them.
Right.
If that makes any sense. They're gonna. I'm always, my parents always never push things on me. It was like, you should do this, you should do this. They always kind of let me test the waters, and there was a lot of things I tried I didn't like, and they always let me kind of test things till I kind of figured out what lane I should be in. On my own. I feel like if you push them in a direction, it's going to make them kind of go the opposite way. Like they're either going to take to it or they're not. They're going to be interested or they're not. So like whenever they're interested, we'll talk to them about it, but we don't force it on them.
So tell us a little bit about the television show, Renovation Rekindle. How did that all come about and how people can find it?
So the television show, we finished season 1. We have 10 episodes, 10 half-hour episodes that we did. And that is available on an app, actually. So we have an app called Renovation Rekindle that you can download. It has all the episodes on it. And the app really came about as kind of a natural extension of what we were doing on social media. We were putting a ton of videos out, and we started doing that about 5 years ago. And, we kind of just did it kind of almost as a test, and it kind of went, kind of really took off. So we kept doing them, and, we were hearing our audience asking for different things. We want to see, we want to see whole houses. They were asking more about clients and the client stories of the renovation. So in doing those videos, we had some TV producers reach out to us about doing a show in the more traditional format, which, ultimately we decided wasn't the right road for us to go down.
Yeah, we have too many people we felt like responsible we always like to see people that work with us, not for us, because they could go work wherever they want, but it just was just too much. We've been building our business for a long time, and it was just like, we didn't really care about being famous, if that made any sense. It was more like, for us, it was the work. So like, it wasn't,
we just like, we were in a place where we were already, speaking directly to our audience and putting things out in a certain way. And, when you meet Paul, when you watch a video of Paul, or when you meet Paul, it's the same person. It's not like a version of Paul, so for us, it was important that we kept that, because that's what we were putting out. That's what people wanted to see. And I mean, even on, on the business side, people who watch our videos, when they call us, like, they know what they're getting. They've seen Paul test out a bidet fully clothed.
If you haven't used a bidet, you're missing out. Don't judge it.
Right.
Incredible.
So, he just goes in, and, we have this one video where he goes in and tests the bidet, and it had great aim. That's all I'll say. It was perfect aim.
I had my pants on, just so everybody understands. I know we're on a podcast right now, but I did have my clothes on.
He did. He did have his
I was
clothes
just
on.
showing where on my clothes it was squirting, to show that it was accurate and a great product. And I was right.
Everyone's curious, so, so just keeping that flavor of the things that, that we were putting out, that was important to us, to keep that, in anything that we did. And the show aired locally here in New England on NECN. But because of our social media presence, we had, people who are following us all over the world, actually, we have people in other countries who would message us and say, hey, how can I see the show? Where can I see it? So the app is something that really makes it accessible. Anyone can download it on, on any app store, and all the episodes are on there. There's some extra content on there. So it was really fun. And it was a great experience to get to see the clients go through that journey too, and watch them, because each episode is a whole project from beginning to end, with the whole reveal, and just going through that process and watching that. It was a great experience. So we're actually filming season 2 right now, but the whole of season 1 is on the app.
It's very powerful being in the room with clients when they haven't seen it, when it's all done. I mean, it's life-changing for them. And then, you're getting to experience that with them. So it's really cool, like the process that we're able to be a part of that, normally you might not see. When you bring them in there, they got blindfolds on and they literally haven't seen it, and they take them off and see their house for the first time and are just in, overjoyed and disbelief. It can be probably the most powerful 60 seconds you can think of being in a room with someone, because it's very like, I made it, we got our house, so it's emotional process for people, but it's a really fun thing to be a part of. So I suggest if you can do it with clients, you should, if they'll let you do that.
And Paul actually came up with the name, and that's kind of where it came from, was like that experience, Renovation Rekindle, kind of rekindling the love that people had for their home, because when they, from when they first bought their home to what brings them to call us, they're looking for a change with their house. So in making that change be a reality for them.
Yeah. It's more, I always look at, like, people have an hour to look at a house, like, we'll take it, and they have all these hopes of like, this kitchen's huge and this, and they don't really get to know. It's like a first date. It's great. But then when they get to know the house, they're like, oh, the door squeaks, this doesn't shut, this is broken, and learn all these nuances. And I always talk about, Susan and I really don't go out because we do love our house. So it's like, if you have a job you don't like, then you come home to a house you don't like, you're like in this vicious circle you can't get out of sometimes. But if we can change that for someone and give them a home that they love, I think it's all the difference, because they had a bad day at work. It all goes away when they come home, so it's a different situation. It's just that comfort feeling that people really can grab to. And I think Susan's really amazing at like pulling that out of people's heads, because people know what they like, they don't know what they want, and they have a hard time articulating it, what they want. But I think she's really good at picking a few pieces out and putting a whole thing together that they're like, yes, this is what I want. So it's which is very hard to do, as you guys know, I'm sure.
Yeah. I love that. And I love the passion that comes through when you guys are talking about helping people change their lives through changing their homes. I love that. That's amazing. So over the last 15 years, you clearly, as you guys talked about, have gone from knowing nothing in some instances really about remodeling to having this great company, sharing that experiences with people on through the television show and through social media. How have you learned as much as you have? Is there some resource, or you talked about your mentor earlier? How have you guys continued to build that knowledge and build the business? What's helped you along the way? I personally, I'm a reader, so I read, I'm always reading. If I don't know how to do something, I'm always like, okay, let me find a book, let me read something. That's kind of my go-to.
Yeah. And I read out loud, I listen to books.
We have books where I have the paper version and Paul has the audio version. So sometimes, we do both, and, just connecting with people, as well, other people in the industry, and talking to other business owners. But I always have at least 2 books going, I would say.
Yeah. If I really stop and think about it for a minute, I think that, Susan's naive about failing. It's not in her wheelhouse. She just does things, it's like, this is what we're doing. We'll figure it out. We're doing it right. Like, I was a kid that jumped off the roof into the pool, and she would be like, why would you do that? That's dangerous, And I'm like, no, this is fun, And she's that type when it comes to business stuff, like, this is what we're doing. We're going to try it. We're going to do it. And we're going to figure it out, And she just doesn't think about failing. It's just not in the wheelhouse. She just does it. And she somehow drags all of us along with her, but the team like sees what is trying to be done, and they're, buying into the system, so to speak. Right.
They love it when I come to the office and I'm like, guys, I have this great idea and we're going to do it right now.
Yeah.
By tomorrow, it's going to be done.
Yeah.
In my mind anyway, but.
But that means that you've built a lot of faith and a lot of trust. They trust that you're going to lead them in the right direction, and that you're not going to suggest something you don't think you can fulfill. So that's great. I mean, that does show a lot of faith and trust in you, and that's wonderful.
I mean, men, we don't listen very well. I mean, right, Craigie? We probably don't do that very well, right? Women just tend to listen better. And Susan's really good at listening to clients and what their problems are. You know, if they're like, you know, besides everybody's like, I hate my kitchen, right? Everybody, there's some cosmetic piece that they all don't like, but what's the reasoning behind it? Like, why do you hate your kitchen? Because me and my husband can't cook at the same time. Okay, now we're getting deeper into those problems, those therapeutic sessions of figuring out what it is you're thinking the way that you are. And she's good at digging into those details and then designing it based off what will work for them, you know, because every project should be special for that client. And we've had clients ask her before, oh, I saw that tile used in that project. Can we use that? And she's like, no. And they're like, what do you mean? She's like, nope, that tile was for them, but we're going to find one that's going to be just as special for you. And then, like,
I love that.
Okay. You know, so it's really, I think, I mean, looking back now, dawning on me, it's like we focused on the work, not the money, not the, what's this other guy doing? It was literally like me and her in the trenches, just focusing on what we do and not so much what everybody else was doing.
Right. And on the client, right?
Right. That's what I mean. Just focusing on the work itself. Like, you know, what are we doing for this client? What has to be done? Not like, oh, this guy's doing this and this guy's doing that, or this girl's designing it this way and this girl's doing that. You know, it's really just staying in our lane and then just documenting what we do and putting it out there. And luckily, people took to that. You know, transparency is key. You know, I think information is very easy to get nowadays versus years and years ago. So if you're not transparent with people, they'll find out very quickly.
Mm-hmm.
That's great, guys. I mean, that's an amazing and such a refreshing way to look at, you know, your business and what you do and how you serve people or your clients, you know, throughout every day. Tell us how people can find you. Tell us where they can look and find you guys either online or on social media.
So all of our social media is under Kadilak Homes, and that's Cadillac with 2 Ks.
Yes, make sure you spell it right. That's Kadilak Homes.
And then the TV show, you can watch that on the app. The name of the app is Renovation Rekindle, and that can be downloaded on pretty much any device from any app store.
That's
And
awesome.
I always suggest to people, do video. Nobody likes to look at themselves. Nobody likes to hear themselves, but you learn a lot about yourself when you watch yourself back in those moments. You know, you really learn how you are as a husband, as a worker, and then you can make adjustments.
That's great, guys.
That's great.
Thanks so much for joining us, Paul and Susan Kadilak. It's been great having you on the show, and I can't wait to see season 2 of Renovation Rekindle.
Thanks for having us, guys.
Thank you for taking the time out to talk with us. We appreciate it.
Paul and Susan are so fun. They're such a great example of how you can balance each other out.
Man, I tell you, Paul is full of energy.
He is a wow guy.
He is a wow guy. And we talk about the how and the wow guy. And I thought, hey, Craig, you're pretty much a wow guy. He's a wow guy.
Yeah. But I like how they, you know, we've talked about this with other couples, how they set expectations with each other. You know, they've set limits of, all right, you can buy up to this amount without having a discussion about it. You know, they understand their work budget and their home budget and where those boundaries are together.
Yeah, and I do like the fact that they have really worked hard on saying, okay, this is Paul's personality. This is how he's going to be. He's the CFO. He's the chief fun officer. So, you know, let Paul be Paul, and how that's really kind of helped them grow their brand. But it's funny because it's similar to us where the business didn't come from him. The business came from his wife. Like, she grew up in the industry.
Which is funny because we've seen that a few times, especially with the remodeling or contracting companies that we've talked to.
Yeah. And I think it's interesting. And I can say from my experience, you know, being a male, and when you're out there and you're talking to people just automatically in the construction industry especially think, well, you're a man, it's your business. And all the time I have to tell them, no, it's our business, it's her business, it's her family's business. And I think that I imagine Paul has a lot of the same, you know, conversations.
And I like the fact that they are, you know, 15 years in, understand that not every client is their client.
Yeah, definitely. And they, you know, and I would even admit that sometimes I'm bad about that I want to take everybody in and I want to take every job. And that's a good thing to remember sometimes sometimes you need to fire clients.
Yeah. Your high eye really makes you want to be a people pleaser. And so sometimes I have to come in and say, they're really not a good fit for us. You got to find a way to say thank you, but no.
And it sounds like also, Allison, they've done a really good job of having their team buy into them and their culture and their TV show and all of that.
Yeah, I think it's nice that, Paul said the team has faith in Susan, and so they're willing to try it.
Yeah, definitely. If you get a chance, check them out. Renovation Rekindle. They've got an app. If you're in the greater Boston area or New England, you can see it on the New England Cable News Network. Check it out, Renovation Rekindle. They have a great website. They've got 10 episodes. They're working on season 2 already.
I can't wait. It's going to be so much fun.
Yeah, it's great. So definitely get a chance. Check out them. They're at Kadilak Homes on Instagram. You can find them KadilakHomes.com. It's a really neat. So, Allison, what is loaded up in your Audible listening queue right now?
So right now I'm listening to Profit First for Contractors. So we talked in the past about Profit First by Mike Michalowicz. This is a subversion of that written by Sean Van Dyke. Mike Michalowicz does the opening to it, but it really takes the Profit First concept and helps it adapt it for contractors.
Yeah, Sean Van Dyke, who we shared the dais with at our recent speaking engagement. Sean is a business coach, a speaker, and author. He used to be a contractor in the construction industry, so he has a great knowledge there. So if you're in the contracting industry, Profit First for Contractors is a great listen on audible.com. You can get a free 30 days on us if you go to audibletrial.com/bizmarried. You can download that book or any book that you want for 30 days for free. Check it out.
And if you're not a contractor, listen to the regular version of Profit First by Mike Michalowicz.
Yeah, there's other versions out there too, Allison. There's, I think, Profit for Investors, and there's a million there. He's starting to do that. Mike Michalowicz has got that sort of thing going where it's like a couple different versions of the book.
Well, it's great because when I listened to regular Profit First, I was trying to think, how would that work for our specific industry? And Sean debunks and kind of gives you the roadmap for how contractors can lay out the system.
Yeah, so definitely check it out. Profit First for Contractors. They have ones out there for real estate investors and minority business owners, salons, dentists. They have a ton of them out there. So definitely check out the Profit First series. Everybody, thanks for listening this week. We really appreciate it. Find us online. You can look for us on social media at BizMarried on Twitter and Instagram. You can also search for us on Facebook. Just search Married with a Business. And check out our website, marriedwithabusiness.net. It's brand new. It's pretty awesome. A lot of the resources that we talk about on the show are there. You can find out past episodes. You can listen to old episodes on there. There's tons of information on there, Allison.
Yep.
So definitely get a chance. Check it out, marriedwithabusiness.net. Thanks for listening, everybody. And remember, not only is it important to focus on your business, but also your marriage, because we're married with a business.